everybody, it's me, Kimberly Sevilla.
And Lavender, Sevilla.
And today is March 20th. And we're going to plant a lot of seeds this year because healthy food is good for you, and homegrown food is the healthiest, right?
Yep.
So we live in zone 6A, 6B, depending on who you ask. We're in Cold Spring, New York, so that means our last frost date is anywhere from April 15th through the end of the month.
Yeah.
So I just say April 15th. And that's an important date to know. The last frost date is the last time that you can expect frost. So a lot of vegetables like tomatoes, eggplants, peppers, things like that.
And it's the second day of spring.
It is.
Yes.
A lot of those vegetables can't be put out until after frost, but you want to get them started before then. And starting seeds at home is a great way to do that. So you do need a sunny window to have your seeds in. Like I like to say, the internet says all sorts of crazy stuff, and I'm going to show you the way that I start seeds that works for me.
Yeah.
Okay. So I started these seeds earlier today, and I used expandable peat pellets, or not today, I started them last week. And you add water, and they basically plop up to this, and then you just put 3 little seeds in each one. And I like to use these because they're pretty easy to use, and they're pretty clean. And you can do this while you're watching TV, while you're watching Netflix, and it doesn't make a mess.
Yeah.
I'm going to show Lavender the messy way, and you can see some of my little seeds have already come up. See that?
What is
Yeah.
that?
So this is Brussels sprouts.
Oh, yum.
So we did direct plant Brussels sprouts into our garden, but I'm also starting ones here because I like to see things grow in the spring. It makes me happy. Yeah. And then I'm like, well, what if it doesn't come up in the garden? It always does.
Yes.
But I'm always like, it's not going to work, but it does.
Yes.
So, do you mind putting this outside, Lavender?
Outside.
Outside. Okay. We're actually growing these outside so that they get used to the environment. And there is a method of sowing called winter sowing that you actually plant your seeds outside in containers, and you can use 2-liter bottles, you can use old lettuce trays, you could use milk jugs, and it works every time. You just make these little mini greenhouses, but it's not as much fun as starting it inside, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, we like to start it inside. So we are actually going to reuse a cell container that we have here. This has 50 cells. So that's 50 vegetable plants. Now, if we were going to buy 50 vegetable plants, that would be a lot.
Yeah.
That'd be
a lot of money.
A lot of money. It would probably be like $25 that we would spend if we were buying 4 packs for a tray, right? But we're going to plant that for probably about $6 bucks, $6 to $10 bucks. So we're saving some money, and it's a lot more fun. So I reuse my trays, but it's very important that you sanitize. You use bleach, and this is mixed per the CDC recommendations. So I'll put the facts in the notes, but I think it's 3 teaspoons of bleach per liter of water that I put in the spray bottle, and I just spray it down and clean it with hot soapy water. The reason that you need to sanitize it is that seeds are very susceptible, and young plants are very susceptible to mold and fungus. And if you've ever grown seeds and then they all just kind of fall over, it's called damping off. That's because a fungus attacked them. One of the advantages of the winter sowing is that cold at night, that chilly, freezing temperature every night kills the fungus. So it's good. But
doesn't it kill the plants too?
It doesn't. Plants are pretty smart. They're pretty smart. Yeah. So at night it gets cold, the plants are probably like, oh, it's cold, but then the fungus is like, but in our houses where it's like 72 degrees all the time, The fungus is like, yeah, man, it's good.
Yeah.
The plants are like, yeah, man, it's good. And it, you know, so you take the good with the bad. So we're going to use a seed starting mix. Where is it? Could you grab that for me, please? Okay, this is a brand that I like called Epsoma, organic seed starter. We want to keep everything organic. The one brand that I don't like is one called Miracle Grow.
Why not?
Oh, it's owned by a company called Monsanto, and I can go into a whole big thing about Monsanto, but it's not kind to the earth or to us, and that's all I'm going to say right now. So let's move our seeds out of the way. Oops. These in my pocket. Okay. And so what you want to do is, I'm going to hold this bag for you, and you stick your mitts in there, and then you just pour it in the middle. Oh, okay. I'm going to be a lot more generous than that. Here, I'll just do this in the kitchen. Oh my gosh.
Oh, no, it's getting all over the place.
Don't tell your father.
This is the messier way.
This is the messier way. This is the way that you can't do on the couch when you're watching Netflix. And this soil is also sterile. You don't want to use old soil that you had laying around unless it was laying around outside where it did get to freeze or it did get really hot, like in your car or something. That's fine. But if it's sitting in your kitchen under the sink, all sorts of nasty stuff could have grown in it, so you don't want your plants to have that. And this is a very lightweight soil. You can make your own seed starting blend out of coconut coir mixed with sand, or different formulas, and I'll make some notations in the show notes. But most importantly,
Lavender.
is this. Smell that.
Did this come from the bag?
Yeah, stick was in the bag. How does that make you feel? When
Is
you
this in
smell
the
it?
bag?
That rock was in the bag. So you know it's natural.
Yeah.
It's very natural. So we have this, and we're not tapping anything down. We're just smoothing it over, making a big mess in our kitchen. Okay. And we're not wearing gloves. Okay, let me see those seed packets that you have. Okay, so I'm going to show you how to read a seed packet. It has some important information on it. Let's start with kale. You like kale, right? Okay, so kale, this says kale dwarf blue curled, vitamin rich, and it says full sun, 55 days to harvest. It says container friendly, plant 12 inches apart, and plant in early spring. And seeds,
It's early spring.
it is, and seeds emerge in 10 to 21 days. So early spring, that means right after the ground can thaw. Could you get me one of those little Sharpies? Is it there? Okay. So we are going to use, you can use popsicle sticks to label your plants. You can use plant labels, whatever, but it is important to label everything.
Yeah.
Because you'll forget, right?
Yeah.
I'll forget. I always say, oh no, I'll remember that I planted this and that, and it's, no. So I always forget. So you want to write down the name of the plant, kale. Here, I'll let you do this. What is the name of the plant? Kale. Now I can get some tea. And then you write the variety. It's called dwarf blue. Okay, you got that? And then you flip your stick over. And on the back, it's...
Ran out.
Uh-oh.
Alright, we didn't get anymore.
Here, let me try. Can I see your stick?
Oh, it's right here.
Okay. So then on the back, you write the date, which is 3/20. And then you write the number of days to harvest, 55 days. And then you write the number of days it takes for the plants to sprout, which is 10 to 21 days. And all this information is on our seed packet. The reason that is so important, 10 to 21 days. When we have a last frost date, you know what else we have?
What?
A first frost date.
What do you mean?
So that's the first time that we're going to see it getting below 32 degrees at night. And that usually happens around here, around October 15th.
Oh, really? It's always the 15th.
Well, no, it could be the 1st, it could be the 31st. Remember some Halloweens we had snow? And this past Halloween,
It was pouring.
it was pouring, but it was also very warm.
Yeah.
Yeah. So every year is a little bit different. So that's important because if you want to eat something and it says that it's 60 days to maturity or 85 days to maturity, then you have to look at the last frost date, which is in October around here, and then you count back. And that's the last day that you can plant, or the last period that you can plant in and still harvest. So a lot of people make the mistake of thinking that they have to plant their vegetable garden all the same day and do everything at the same time. Traditionally, people like to plant on Mother's Day, but that's not the case. You can just stretch it out over a whole season and constantly be planting things.
Since we're just using soil, here's a fun fact.
What?
That soil actually, the smell of soil like raises your mental health.
Yes, it does. It has the same effect as Prozac, actually. It does raise your mental health and it makes you feel happy, and it's a wonderful thing to do.
It's like earth.
It is the earth. It's a wonderful thing to do on a nasty day, and when you're, what are we doing right now? Social isolating.
Mm-hmm.
When you're social isolating, it's a great activity to do with
Anything
your kids.
earthy.
Yeah. So we're going to take our plants here, and we'll start with kale. We have kale, and we're just going to put 3 little seeds in each one of these containers. Okay. So you see the kale there? I'll let you do this one, and I'm going to grab some plant labels. Three seeds in each container. The next one that I'm doing is this beautiful lettuce. And we'll do 2 rows of that. This one is a salad blend. And it's 3:30, and this one is 7 days, and this is a 45 to harvest. The next one is marigolds and bronze fennel.
Should I do 2 rows?
2 rows of kale? How much do you like kale?
A lot.
A lot, okay. So I think we'll eat it, won't we?
Mm-hmm.
Then we're doing marigolds because they're pretty.
Marigolds are also tasty.
They're tasty, yeah, they're edible, and you know what else they do? They ward off insects and bugs, so they help our garden. And I like to plant them with my lettuce, marigolds and lettuce, and I also like to plant them with my tomatoes. This one's called Jaguar. Okay, and then the next one is bronze fennel. Okay, bronze fennel. This one is a very furious plant, and once you plant it in your garden, You will always have it in your garden.
What is it called?
Bronze fennel. We've never planted it in our garden, so.
We don't. Are we planning on it?
What?
Are we planning on planting it in?
Yes. And something else I did was right before we were put under lockdown, I met up with a friend of mine and we traded seeds. This one's one of my favorites to plant here, the marigolds, because you can grab them by the little tip.
Yep.
And just sort of poke.
Is that it? Just one?
Let's do three. Do three in each. There's an old expression. They'd say one to grow.
Oh, this. Never mind.
One to grow, one to die, and one for the birds to eat.
It's a good expression.
Yeah, so 3 little seeds in each pot. Okay. All right.
Can I put them together?
Yeah, however you want to do it. I prefer to space them out so that if I need to pull out one, or if they all 3 grow, then maybe I could save one of them. Do that.
Yeah. I'll put them all together.
All right. Okay, I need to grab something, so I'm going to put these. You need to hold the seeds. Okay, I'm going to both plant marigolds. Because we like marigolds, right?
Yes.
So we're going to be planting a lot of these marigolds. Okay, 3 and 3. Oh, the soil feels so nice, doesn't it? Okay, so then we have our marigolds, and I'm just going to leave that there. We have our bronze fennel. We haven't tried that one yet. Let's see how much. What this we have here. Oh,
Is that edible?
it is edible and it's very delicious, and it is. Wow, it's an empty pack.
Oh no.
Okay, bye, Felicia. Okay, next one. Ooh, this one's fancy. Escarole. This you can eat in a salad or you can cook it, so it's pretty versatile.
Have 3 in each?
3 in each. So we'll do 2 rolls of
2 row or
escarole.
1 row?
Let's do 2 rows. I'll do this one.
Looks like wheat.
So tap that down. Now, fun fact, some of the lettuce, it will grow if it's under 70 degrees, but once it hits over 70 degrees, then it does not grow. So you can plant lettuce early in the spring or in the fall. Did you know that?
Yes, I did.
That's good. Okay.
Yeah, lettuce can survive really any temperature.
Well, it doesn't grow when it's hot. I like to plant my lettuce in the shade.
Yeah, where the squirrels can still get it.
Well, the squirrels, that's what cats were invented for. Okay, so now we have Swiss chard. I know you like this one.
Yeah, I really do. So
And
3
this-
in each.
Yeah, and this one looks pretty when you plant it with flowers. You know,
Smells good.
it's okay to mix. It's okay to mix vegetables with flowers. There's no rule that vegetables need to be segregated from flowers. Yeah. I just did these, so you can start this row.
Oh, only 1 in each?
2, 3.
Oh, okay. Oh, you put 3 in each.
Yeah, I'm fast. I've had a lot of practice.
Just like very slow.
Well, that's all right. You're enjoying it, aren't you?
Yes. Okay. Here, I'm gonna put them in your hand so I can grab them out of your hand.
Okay. So some people say with the squirrels, just plant extra and assume that they're going to eat it. Or plant a garden of stuff that they really love away from your vegetable garden and let them eat that stuff. I don't know. What do you think?
I don't know. I don't know what I would do. Okay, that's all it.
And we have this beautiful red leaf
Lettuce.
lettuce. Or do we want to do a mix? which one? We have 2 more rows. Now, when you grow your own vegetables, does it make you want to eat more vegetables? It does, and it's fun picking the vegetables, isn't it?
Yes.
What-
And they just seem so natural. We grow our own rosemary
Yeah.
and basil and mint
Mm-hmm.
in the front yard where the deer do not like to get them.
We grow it next to the sidewalk, right?
Yes.
So that when we're walking home, we just have pretty.
And we can
Herbs.
just go out the door whenever we're cooking dinner. Like, it's really good. We can put it on our pork chops.
Mm-hmm.
This one? Right.
Yeah, those 2. Salad. Put that down there. And now.
So really 3 in each for every.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, if you want to get really nerdy, you can look at the seed packets and see what the viability is of the seeds, like what percent of them will germinate. And if it's a low percentage, maybe put more seeds. And if it's a high percentage, less seeds. But I just use 3. And then when they start sprouting, if I see ones that don't sprout, then I just add some more seed to that little cell.
That's always good.
Yeah. Okay. So you got your lettuce. Now that 1 packet of lettuce seeds has, fun fact, 400 seeds in it.
Whoa.
Okay, and it is $1.98. So for $2, there's the
You
potential
can grow like a whole thing of lettuce.
for like us and everybody and half the people in our town
Like, could fill up our grocery store.
with for $1.98. Pretty good, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so I like to water my little seedlings like that.
H2O.
Try to get the. There we go. Yeah, it's important that all your containers are labeled very clearly. We have different ones for different purposes. Oops, I don't want to spray our seed packets.
Okay.
Okay, and then the last thing that you do is you put the cover on. These are a little old, but hey, they work. We're going to keep this cover on until we see our babies coming up.
So, how are we going to remember? Are we going to label those?
Well, we labeled that one, and we labeled the salad, and then the rest, I broke my own rules, and there's no labels, and we'll be like, ugh.
Oh, well, we'll see it. So,
After all that talk, we'll see. Well,
yeah.
It'll be stuff we like,
Yeah.
for sure.
It'll be a surprise.
Yeah. All right, and that's how you start seeds. Thank you, Lavender, for your help.
You're welcome.
No.
Thank you for watching this video. And don't
Yes.
forget to like and subscribe this video and subscribe to my mother's channel.
Yeah.
And watch our other videos on soap making and candle making and everything like that.
All right, thank you. Bye.